Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race C race and strategy guide. For this week's race we are in the Group 3 machinery and we are heading to Circuit de Catalunya, and it's a new layout with no chicane, which should please people no end. The chicane at Catalunya definitely gets a lot of, I would guess, undeserved hate, but yeah, I can understand why people are maybe not the biggest fan of that part of the track. But we've got 10 laps to get round this layout. We've got tyre wear at times 7, fuel at times 4. Racing hard and racing medium tyres are both available, and as far as I am aware, both of which are mandatory for this race. BOP is on, it's the mid-speed BOP, damage is light, it's a formation start, and slipstream is real. So yeah, fairly interesting settings, a little bit of strategy in there for sure, and this is also the very first race that we have covered since the update of 1.20, which has brought some rather substantial changes in the way the tyre wear works in Gran Turismo 7, both in terms of how it's visualised, and from what I can now tell, having done a little bit of more testing, also seems to be around about 20 to 25% more severe than pre-update 1.20. Now, another thing that came with update 1.20 was changes to some of the settings, in particular the LSD, or the what do you call the LSD? What's its proper name? Something speed differential? Anyway, the changes to the LSD has certainly brought the MR cars back into the fore, risen from the ashes somewhat like the Phoenix, and it turns out they are actually quite competitive now, very much more easy to drive, a lot more predictable in the way the rear end handles on these cars. So for the test here we are going to use the Ferrari 458 Italia. And we've got a couple of strategies to test out on this one. We have the medium hard strategy, which is what we're going to look at first. And yeah, basically what we're going to do here is we are going to run these medium tyres until we can no longer go any faster than we can do on the hard tyres. Now, as you get to lap 5 or 6, you're going to have a little bit of a decision to make here. It's going to depend on what you're like on the tyre wear. Now, we have learned from the video that we put out last week looking at tyre wear that it's not until the tyres get worn down to around about 85% that they particularly lose a lot of speed and grip. Now, as we pass the pit lane here at the end of lap 5, we still had about 30% of the tread, which meant I was quite comfortable to do another lap on these tyres. Now, I do believe that some people out there, whether you're on the pad or whether you've just got a driving style that burns through the tyres a little bit quicker, you may well be struggling to do this 6th lap. But what you're going to see, and we test it a little bit later on, is I think 6 laps are definitely the maximum you want to be doing on the medium tyres. So we're going to come into the pit lane here. Do be careful on entering the pit lane. It's a little bit different from entering it from the no chicane variant, because with the chicane variant, because you are actually approaching that pit lane with a lot more speed. So do be careful of that. I think you will see a few people in the early days get that pit entrance wrong and understeer into the wall, maybe cause themselves a little bit of damage or actually miss the pit lane completely. We'll try not to laugh if we see that on the live stream, but yeah, I'm not making any promises. But you can see my tyre wear now, we're down to around about 15% worth of the tread there, so definitely don't think we had another lap in this car. Now, fuel is no issue here, despite the fuel being at times 4, doesn't really play a factor. You will finish the race with around about 25% fuel, but the pit loss to get the tyres changed is 27.8 seconds. Do be careful as you rejoin the track not to cross the right line and pick up a penalty, and make sure you find yourself a suitable braking marker on the wall for when you are leaving the pits as well, and try not to make an absolutely horrendous return to the track like I did there. Now, getting back to the strategy, I did some testing before I did this run. I knew I could do kind of low 142s on the hard tyre, so you can see my kind of medium tyre pace there right up until we changed the tyres. We're all in the 141s, well below what I could do on the hard tyres. I don't know really what went wrong here, but we had an absolutely horrific run on the hard tyres, not really doing any kind of representative laps. The last lap was a little bit better, it was a 142.3, but yeah, definitely, there's a big difference between the hard tyres and the medium tyres in raw pace. That is for sure around this track. 17 minutes, 29 seconds, 0.2 was the finishing time there as we completed the first run. So let's move on to the alternative strategy. So alternative strategy is going to start on the hard tyres and move on to the mediums. Now, what we're going to test here is whether we can actually eke a 7th lap out of the medium tyres when the car is a little bit lighter with the fuel burned off. So here we are here, leaving the pit lane, coming up to past the car in P1. Now, I just raced against a Group 4 car here because I didn't really want them to interfere with my pace too much. And yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a task to see if we can get 7 laps out of the medium tyres. Now, we did baby them a little bit in the early stages, but it turned out we just actually didn't really lose any pace. The tyres quite like to be sort of driven quite smoothly, it would appear. Now, coming into the hairpin here to complete lap 7 on these medium tyres, it was all looking quite promising. Now, that rear left is obviously in pretty bad shape. It's down to about 90 or maybe 10% worth of the tread left. And yeah, I thought, yeah, we've actually done quite a good job here, but then we get a little bit of a tank slapper on. We managed to just about catch that one. Coming into the last corner though, we lose the car completely. We were so close to getting that 7th lap out of the tyres, but it's bit us in the backside as we come into the last corner. Now, it does make me think that it is possible to get that 7th lap with a little bit better tyre management than I did there, or maybe a different car would be better on the tyres. Certainly the car was a little bit of a struggle over the last lap, but it was only really those last few corners where it really started to become a handful. So yeah, there's going to be people out there who can manage that 7th lap on the medium tyres. I think it will be on the vast majority of drivers out there, so I think, you know, it's going to be much more comfortable just to do the 6 laps on the medium tyres. But we'll get back to that. We'll take a look and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the sort of connotations of the strategy when we get to the replay footage. Before that, I do want to kind of talk about FR cars. So we jumped into the Mercedes GT3, the AMG Mercedes, and again I thought, you know what, there's no point just sort of doing a basic run here. Let's see if the FR cars are capable of doing that 7th lap. And we joined the run here halfway through lap number 10, and I think you can probably see the answer to that. The front left there absolutely destroyed for the second half of lap 10 here, or lap 7 on these medium tyres. Absolutely no grip left now. I think that's the tread gone completely. The car is now an understeering mess, but unlike the Ferrari, at least the sort of nature of the FR cars meant that I could at the very least nurse this car to the finish line and get it over without spinning completely. But I lost around about 4.5 seconds in that final sector, so it's very, very, very close if you've got a little, you know, quite good at tyre management, quite gentle on the tyres, to try and nearly get that 7th lap. And I guess with a little bit of practice you probably could get that, but again, we'll talk about that in just a little bit of a minute. I do want to cover harsh track limits at this track. You know, it's one of these tracks where it's, you know, the kind of, a lot of the corners have this kind of green runoff area, and it's very tempting to use that as you complete the lap, or if you get it maybe a little bit wrong. But yeah, I did notice over the course of the testing that a lot of these corners, and I've highlighted some of them with some screenshots, will give you a rather nasty half-second penalty, despite the fact you generally run wide, maybe even clip the dirt and actually get dirty tyres and lose more time overall. So yeah, it can be a little bit infuriating with those track limits, so definitely bear that in mind, because it's very easy to sort of ruin a pretty decent race just with running a couple of metres wide on a corner. But yeah, let's move back to the strategy. I think it's fairly clear for this one. I think we've kind of demonstrated quite well with the test runs that 6 laps is pretty much the maximum that most people are going to do on the medium tyres, whether it's doing the medium hard strategy or doing the hard medium strategy. But if you're an absolute wizard at saving tyres, or you really, really nurse the tyres at the beginning of the run, or there may well even be a particular car out there, interested to see how the BRZ maybe fares, the Subaru BRZ, you could possibly eke out that 7th lap. But yeah, you're going to have to really have a little bit of skill at saving the tyres. I think for certainly pad players that's not going to be possible, and I think for a lot of people on the wheel as well, it's just going to be a bridge too far. But that's not to say that we won't try it at some point over the course of live streaming this one this week. You know, I like to kind of try something a little bit different when it comes to the strategy, and I think with a little bit of practice we can maybe just about get there. We're literally about a third of a lap away from being able to do it, so that's definitely something we can work towards. But yeah, if you're starting on the medium tyres, and I think most people will actually start this with the hard tyres unless you're at the very front, but if you're starting the medium tyres, the maximum laps you're going to get are 6. I think for a lot of people though, they may be looking at 5, but just remember that tyre wear. If you've got over 25% of the tread left, then you are good to go for that 6th lap. It's only when you get down below 85% or you've only got about 15% of that tread that the tyre wear really kicks in. On the reverse strategy, I would definitely be looking to do 4 laps on the hard tyres, 6 laps on the medium tyres. Definitely don't go for the 5th lap on the hard tyres, or you're just wasting that opportunity for the undercut, which is what you're really trying to do when you start on the hard tyres. I think most people will start this race on the hard tyres, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I'd only be starting on the medium tyres if I was starting in the first 3 positions, and I could probably use the potential of those medium tyres without being interrupted by traffic. But let's finish the lap off with a lap guide. Ferrari 458 Italia, come down to turn number 1. You're looking for the black box on the left hand wall. It's been the brake marker for turn 1 at Catalunya since I can remember. Coming through turn 2 there, get the car over to the left hand side to get the baseline into the very long, demanding, tyre killing turn 3. Try to find a point on the wall on the left hand side to get on the throttle there, just before the gantry, actually maybe about 10 metres before the gantry, coming into turn number 4 here. Getting on the power nice and early, the corner opens up a little bit. I look for the kind of grey box on the right hand side of the track there. You should be able to see it if you kind of take a wee look, as my braking marker for turn 5. Tough little corner that, a lot of time to be made up there. Start the curb on the right hand side as you come into the very tricky chicane. Take too much curb on the exit there, you will pick up a half-second penalty. And end of the curb on the left hand side, just down a gear, come off the throttle, throw the car into the corner here, feel the car grip up, and then get on the throttle. I use the grey bar between the 150 and the 100 metre board as my braking reference for this tight left-hander. Very easy to get this corner wrong, a lot of time to be lost and gained there as well. Coming through this left-right sequence here, right-hander seems to go on forever, very slow, clumsy corner, and then coming into this brace of fast right-handers. Lots of fun to drive the cars through here. They're basically just come off the throttle, maybe down a gear, and it's all about the commitment and how much speed you're going to carry through these 2 corners, particularly the second part, because you carry that speed all the way down the straight for the next lap. But yeah, hopefully the video has been useful in some way, shape or form, particularly in the strategy. It's not the best lap guide you're ever going to watch in your life. There will be, of course, other lap guides out there from the usual suspects, so do check them out if you're looking for something a little bit more comprehensive. But fun race in prospect, I think. Hopefully there should be a variety of cars that we can use in this one as well. I think you're going to see a lot of people maybe struggling with the new sort of tyre wear, and maybe going to try and push those medium tyres a little bit too far. But do join me for some live streams of this one next week if you can. Be great to have you along. Come and join the chat, say hello. You'll find the chat a friendly place in the live streams as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you have, please hit that like button or the subscribe button if you think it's worth it. And I shall catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.